Welcome back to LittleLee and Rose. My name is Summer Noel. Today we're going to do a gorgeous mermaid tumbler. We're going to be working on a mug with a handle. The handle is going to be a big part of this tumbler. Now you can do this style without the tumbler. You would just be doing it with a flat surface. But like I said, we're going to go do a 3D kind of effect and use the handle on this tumbler. This tumbler has been prepped and spray painted. You can see the spray paint is a little funny if you get up close. It's very cold here today and the spray paint didn't like it, but because of what we're doing with this tumbler, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be a glossy, smooth finish. So I'm going to stick this off to the side. We're going to start on that later. What we're going to do first is we are going to do a mold, and this mold is going to be a 3D effect. If you haven't seen my 3D tumblers, I did one a couple years ago, and I showed you where I started with a dragon, and I used all kinds of techniques to get the dragon to wrap around the tumbler. We're going to be doing something similar to that today, but we're going to be using this gorgeous mermaid tail. I will link this in the description below. This is a very popular mold. We've had it on our website a couple times. It sells out every single time, but I will drop the link under this tutorial. We're also going to be using our LittleLee and Rose pouring art epoxy for this one. And we are going to be using the Bitty Bow. This is a very special custom glitter that we have put out through our swag bags. Swag bags are a subscription that we do every month in our group, LittleLee and Rose. And Bitty Bow is basically our glitter bow, but it's so fine. It's like a dust, like a mica powder, but it gives you just like exactly perfect, gorgeous shine that bow does, but just in a very micro level. So you can use this as an epoxy additive over other projects that you're using. So we're going to be using the epoxy, part A and part B mixed equal parts. I'm going to use my little mixing cup and my silicone stir stick to get that mixed up. All right, so now we've added our glitter color Walter, and we've added just a little bit of Bitty Bow off to the side there. And we're gonna go ahead and get that mixed up. Now the Bitty Bow is just gonna add that little subtle shimmer in there, and the Walter is gonna just be that real good pop of just glam. So we've got a total of 30 grams, just over 30 grams for this mold. We're going to give it a second, let those bubbles rise to the surface, and then we are going to use some alcohol ink in a spritz bottle. Some regular alcohol in a spritz bottle, and we're going to spray against the back, and it's going to kind of get rid of any little bubbles that are surfacing. All right, for the next step, we are going to do the bubble method. Now, I did this about just over a year ago now, and I showed it to you as like a dragon skin and kind of give you that element. Now we're going to take it into the mermaid zone, and we're going to do it all in whites. So we're going to be, again, using Bitty Bow. We're going to be using predominantly Bitty Bow and just a little bit of Walter. But what we've got here that's really important is we have a cup of water with soap in it. You can see, we laugh because we say it's more soap than water. It is a thing of water, and you have to use quite a bit of soap to get some really good bubbles in there. And then we just have a straw. So that's going to come into play in just a minute. So we've got this cup of soapy water. The UV resin from LittleLee and Rose is very easy to use. And we're going to just be using a small amount at a time because you don't want this to get away from you. You just want to do small piece by small piece. Now we have a little UV torch on our website. So if you don't have a full nail light, this is always a really good option. I'm going to be using it here. You can also use a full, like a nail UV light, which I have here. We're also going to be utilizing this just so I can show you guys the two different ways to do this. But they both work. But what's really important is just having that UV light to cure up the UV resin as we go. Stir that up into the UV resin. Okay, we're going to pour that right on the tumbler. Take our silicone brush. And we're going to spread it out nice. So now we've got our thin layer, and you can see the Bitty Bow and just a teeny bit of Walter there. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do an overlay of all bubbles on top of here. And we are going to then hit it with our UV light immediately after following. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this at an angle, and I'm going to blow through the straw and into the soapy water, and it's going to create a big pile of bubbles, and those bubbles are going to spill out over onto this UV resin. Then once the bubbles are on there, we are going to hit it with the UV light. And this is where we're going to get that really cool texture. So I'm going to go ahead and put my UV light over the top. In between applications, we're just going to wipe the excess soap down with a baby wipe to clean the surface. But you can see, look at how cool that texture is on the tumbler. And it looks like mermaid scales. When you do it in dark colors, it looks kind of like dragons or a dragon egg. And then when you do it in these light colors, it really gives off a mermaid vibe. All right, and so we're gonna let that dry for just a second, let that baby wipe dry off. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rinse this cup completely and get all that soap off the top. But look at the beautiful texture on there. It looks so cool. All right, so we're gonna rinse this cup off underwater, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. Now we're gonna make the little piece that's gonna connect the tail to the handle. I'm just gonna be using this candle as a roller, and we're just gonna roll out another piece of the clay. So for this next part, I am actually going to take glitter and I'm going to burnish it down. This is our glitter color Samuel. He's our holographic white. Super, super beautiful. So we're just gonna put a little down on the top. And just like you would burnish a tumbler, we're gonna burnish the top of this piece of polymer clay. Now, the polymer clay is the kind that can be baked and will firm up. This particular polymer clay can actually be heated up with a blow dryer and work. I find it to just be very easy because I don't want to put my tumblers in the oven. And so being able to use a blow dryer to make it, to firm it up and cure it is a huge benefit. And then we're going to take this really cute little mold. I got this in the baking section of Hobby Lobby. And this is for fondant, but we're basically going to take this and we're going to press it into there and we're going to get our mermaid scale. So here's an up close video of the glitter on top of that clay. All right, so now we've got our fondant mold and we're just gonna take it and we're gonna press it. Make sure we get pressed all along the edges. We're gonna peel it and look at those gorgeous scales. All right. So now I'm gonna go in with my clay detailing tool and I'm just gonna clean up those lines. So for this next step, we are gonna take that beautiful piece of clay and we're gonna lay it right on that handle. Okay, and you're gonna wanna kind of line it up from the top to the bottom. And again, you're gonna go in there with your tools and press it very gently. Start working it around the handle. All right, so we've demolded it, and now what we're gonna do is we heated it up just a little bit with a heat gun, and you can see it makes it very pliable and easy to work with and mold it around the cup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our LittleLee and Rose quick cure epoxy. I've got it mixed up equal parts in my cup, very small amount, you don't need a lot. Now this cures in like 10 minutes, if that, it's less. You gotta, and the work time is only like 2 minutes. So we're just gonna get this stirred up really well. And we are going to put it on the back of the mermaid tail. And then we're gonna go ahead and apply it right down onto the cup. So now that we've got the quick cure epoxy on, our goal is to set it about right here and make sure the entire fin is going to be wrapped onto the cup. And we're gonna press it down. And we're gonna hold it down. So we're gonna end up working here with the clay to make this more of an easy transition. That's gonna be down the road. Right now we just wanna get this nice and pressed down and hold it down with our firmly down while that quick cure epoxy cures up. Now we're gonna make the little piece that's gonna connect the tail to the handle. So now we've got the tail all attached and ready to go. We are now to use a heat gun because we don't want to put this tumbler in the oven. We're going to be using a heat gun to heat the clay up, and that is going to cure the clay. Now you can build this up as much as you want as far as like the clay and the tail. I don't want to get it too chunky down here because then otherwise the tumbler won't sit straight. So the goal is to just have it where if it's sitting straight, it just looks like a tail coming up from the handle. So now we're to the epoxy step.
We're going to be using our pouring art epoxy resin. And if you guys ever have questions and want to get more in-depth details, you can join our Facebook group. We have an awesome, very interactive Facebook. We do a lot of challenges and give away a lot of prizes and just have a lot of fun in our Facebook group. And you can ask questions. I go live at least 3 to 4 times a week. And so you can get a lot of extra learning from there, but it's also a really fun way to just interact with a like-minded community of creators and get inspired and like just see other people's creations and have fun. And so you can find us. That's a LittleLee and a Rose tumblers and more on Facebook. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and just work it into those cracks. We're not going to try to put a ton on all at once. So now we're going to go in with our epoxy detailing tool, and we're going to get right into those cracks and make sure everything is coated and down into all the little nooks and crannies around all these fancy details. And we also are just going to make sure that these epoxy on the surface of this cup is not too thick. By just getting in there and sliding around, because again, we just want a nice seal coat over this tumbler, but we don't want it too thick.